Born on July 28, 1943, Mike Bloomfield earned his reputation playing guitar in the small blues clubs on the south side of Chicago. And as Bloomfield relates, a few of the old blues masters took him under their wing.
I wanted to know the story of the blues, and the best way for me to learn was to actually meet the guys, you know. And the two guys that took me to be like almost like their kids, man. Like I was like their son. Was several guys: Big Joe Williams, Sonny Lancelin, a piano player, and Span. They took me to be like their kids, man. They just showed me from their heart, you know, and took me aside and said, "You can play, man. Don't be shy. Don't be nothing. Get up there and play, you know." And what I learned from them was invaluable. A way of life, a way of thinking, a whole kind of thing, you know, was invaluable things to learn.
And Muddy Waters too, right?
Yeah. But, you know, Muddy, he was like a god to me. Well, if he was a god, B.B. King was a deity where I just couldn't even imagine ever knowing someone of his magnitude and greatness. But Muddy, he was in Chicago. I would go down the street, man, and from 2 blocks away, I'd hear that harmonica come out of the club. I'd hear that harp, and I'd hear Muddy slide. I'd be trembling. I'd be like a dog in heat. I didn't know what to do. I'd get near that place, man. I'd be all a quiver. I'd stand out in front. Me and Roy Ruby, man, we'd stand out. This is a buddy of mine. We would stand out in front, man, and just peer in the window. We were too young to get in, you know. We had phony IDs, but they just laughed at us. I would just stand all night long in the window, man. Like I guess.
The bad section of town.
Huh? The worst section of town, man.
Unlike contemporaries such as Jimi Hendrix and Jeff Beck, Bloomfield rarely experimented with feedback and distortion, preferring a loud yet clean, almost chiming sound, with a healthy amount of reverb and vibrato. In the early 60s, Mike met harmonica player and singer Paul Butterfield. Paul had gotten a gig at a folk club called Big John's, where Bloomfield was also playing. The two became friends, and Paul would occasionally sit in with Bloomfield. On one of those nights, producer Paul Rothchild happened to be in the audience, and impressed by the chemistry between Bloomfield and Butterfield, he persuaded Paul to let Bloomfield into his band. Later that year, Bloomfield and the rest of the Butterfield Blues Band minus Paul stunned the crowd at the Newport Folk Festival when they backed up Bob Dylan for his first electric set. After helping Bob finish the album Highway 61 Revisited, Dylan asked Bloomfield to join his touring band, but Mike declined, preferring to stay with Butterfield. However, a few years later, Bloomfield got tired of the rigorous touring schedule and quit the Butterfield band. He relocated to San Francisco and created his own group, the short-lived Electric Flag. Mike Bloomfield also made an impact through his work with Al Kooper on Super Session and continued doing both solo and session work until his untimely death from an accidental drug overdose in 1981. All right, let's listen. Mike Bloomfield and the Electric Flag and Killing Floor.